Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Gina, or Jay Brad, and today I have with me a very special guest, Meena Mulloy. She has been studying with Dr. Pillai for about 20 years now, and she's going to tell us her secret formula for how to manifest a life with purpose. Meena has been a manifester, I should say. I've known her for a very long time, longer than when she even studied with Dr. Pillai, and she has taught me many things about shifting mindset in how to manifest, being open to receive, allowing abundance into your life. She's really good at all those things. So today, what we're talking about is how to manifest your life with purpose, giving yourself what the key ingredients that are needed for a life with purpose. So, Meena, thank you for joining.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
Great. So, what does one need in order to manifest our lives with purpose? Like, what are the key ingredients you've found have worked for you?
Great. So if we say key ingredients, I think of the recipe, right? You would always have, there's going to be your main staples that really support a recipe. And then, of course, you have all the supporting things that really give the flavor and the personality. But to start with, there's really, the first thing is a commitment to yourself, to your life, and to those goals they matter. So I think that's key. It's the building block and most important. Then the next one is a real self-evaluation and ability to clear old patterns, because old patterns, that's the old baggage that we're carrying, or the conditioning that isn't you. It's not authentic to you, but that kind of conditioning needs to be evaluated and removed. I mean, you can clear that out just like you clear out a closet when you're cleaning out your desk. And then to me, which I have found invaluable, has about working with a master, the ability to go through time fast, to pass really go through lifetimes and just bypass slow time, is working with a master. And Dr. Pillai is the highest master that I've ever encountered. And I've met holy people, saints. I've worked with, previous to Dr. Pillai, worked with closely and personally with a enlightened master who also it's instrumental in my life, and I feel prepared me for somebody at Dr. Pillai's level.
Yes, and just to give folks a little bit more background about you too, and how these steps actually integrate with who you are and your abilities, is that you were working in the corporate world for many years. You were a senior VP, I understand, at a large investment bank. And so setting goals, keeping goals, being able to perpetuate that was a big part of your life, right?
Oh, very much. And it's kind of interesting because I've always brought in this, even though I didn't have the language around it, the divine mind, and coming from that place of manifestation. When I was in the corporate world, the success was really phenomenal. In fact, I became on Wall Street in my industry, which was the communications division. And it's a large, I mean, that has a lot of employees, and it's a huge cost center. I became actually well known as being the top one in that industry. So, and I attribute a lot of that success for goal setting, but I think even more so the connection to accessing divine mind. And
which you had been learning along the way in your other, your spiritual journey.
Yes.
And also, when you met Dr. Pillai, there was a bit of the point number 2, which is kind of clearing your past. that you had to do in order to create a new trajectory, a new journey, right? So you've been walking these key points for many years now, which makes you a great guide for us.
Thank you. Yeah, that was actually, that was definitely the first thing when I met Dr. Pillai. That's how I first connected and understood the level of his mastery. Is, you know, because I worked with an enlightened master who actually I didn't find have the karma clearing abilities and teachings, and that is so important and key to your success, because the motivation was always there, but but I could feel it was almost like this building up of karma that was slowing everything down. It was really a very painful experience, and I lived through it so that when I learned about the karma removal and how to change those patterns by getting into the karma and with the self-awareness, those two together really started things moving again, and in a very fast way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, things move very fast around Dr. Pillai.
Yeah.
So let's back up. So just folks, catching you up to where we're at. So Meena had mentioned that there are 3 ingredients to manifesting a life with purpose. The first one is setting goals. The second one is being able to self-assess and clear your past. And the third point is working with a master, in this case is Dr. Pillai. So let's go a little more deeply into these 3 points so people at home can have a takeaway of how to begin their new year. We know that the sun just moved into Aries. We had a webinar about it. Dr. Pillai had a session on the importance of this time. So as a community, we're here like really gearing up and wanting to use this energy. So Meena's going to help us understand better how to leverage the energy of the sun to implement these 3 key ingredients that she's talking about for manifesting a life with purpose. So goals and direction, commitment, all of that wrapped into one. Can you tell us a little bit more about how we do that? How do we keep goals alive? I know that, for myself, many people, we have goals, but then things start to kind of fizzle out. What's your secret, Meena?
Okay, so for your goals, one, there's as you mentioned, it's a really powerful time to zero in on your goals and your commitment during this time when Aries when Sun is in Aries. That gives an extra power. Timing is key to when you start something. Throughout the year, there's starting times. This is the big one, and it doesn't mean that if you haven't started your goals or commitment in this month, you can't do it until next year. But you do lose the extra power. So that's number one, your timing, knowing to start at this time. And how do you keep your commitment alive? I think that's a very important point. That's again where you're clearing out your past, because sometimes the old things pull you back into old patterns. And that's why when you're working in a coaching environment, it's making you more conscious, and you're aware of when it's pulling you back, and you're just keeping yourself back on track. And it becomes exciting and fun because you see these changes happening.
Right.
And then your goals, you really need to, so we're talking about setting your goals, but what if you're setting a goal, Jay Radha, that is really appropriate for me, but it's not your goal?
Right.
And that happens all of the time. So you really need to understand what you've come in to do. What's your theme? What's your purpose? And that's what I like to refine in the beginning. So I meet with everyone personally. I have a lot of tools that I've developed over the years. I've studied Vedic astrology, human design, the vast information and guidance from Dr. Pillai, and then of course different books and just life experience. And we take that and we zero in on what's your life purpose, what's your focus.
Mhm.
I don't want to go too off track, but for instance, I just recently met with someone who clearly has their life focus. They know what their theme is, and they're in a highly competitive market, and they're hitting the top tier. I would say in the top 10% of their industry. And we had a session. They wrote back the next day and they said, this was hugely helpful, because say you have a picture and it's a little blurred. When you have more focus, that picture can become so clear. And say the background had what is not needed. Same thing, if you have your sole purpose and all of a sudden you've got clarity around your goal purpose, then your sole purpose, then in the background, maybe there's a lot of things that really don't belong in your life. It's cluttered up with things that are just slowing you down and keeping
Yeah.
you distracted from your true purpose and all the joy and the things that are waiting for you, because your soul came in for something, and everybody is going to have an agenda to keep you off of that. So you know, that's why you need to become very clear about it.
Yes, I'm very aware. And
Mm-hmm.
what I like what you said, which is something I've always thought about. You know, there are so many self-help gurus who say you can do anything that you want. But really, we have a particular blueprint that and a design that has come into our patterning at birth, and really it is unique to us. And
That's right.
know what that is and go in that direction, because that's why we incarnated. Then we're taking the path of purpose and also the
Mm-hmm.
path of least resistance, right? So if I just said, oh, I want to go do, you know, be an actress or do this, but it's really not in my alignment, in my blueprint, and the reason I incarnated, then I'm going against the grain of my particular energy that dropped into this earth plane at this time in this life. But if I know what my attributes are, what my qualities, what my purpose is, I could flow into those because they're already set forth for me, right?
That's right.
Knowing
Yeah.
that is totally invaluable. Like, that's amazing. Like, to know that for most humans is a really big deal.
Exactly. And that was the other point, when people who I don't even know, we will have one of these readings, they'll say it's the validation of, like, they have an idea about their purpose, but then to have it validated
Right.
brings a certain level of it's a grounding, and it takes a lot of doubt out of
Yeah.
the way. Yeah.
And what we're talking about right now, folks, because we didn't introduce this, but we started talking about Meena is also a life coach, and she gives divine soul readings. So she can, like she mentioned, she uses many different um, methodologies to determine for you what that is, and helps, even if you know, have an idea, it'll give you more clarity, as well as how to move forward with it, because these tools that she has studied not only give you what kind of what that blueprint looks like, what that, you know, kind of soul imprint is for you, what that purpose is, but also the best ways for you to go about creating it and implement it in the world, manifesting your life with purpose. So that's another one of Meena's great gifts, is to be able to do this for other people. So, and at the end, we will tell you a little bit about how you can work with Meena, because we have created a new coaching program with her. So she gives, that is part of the individual reading is part of this group coaching program. So we talked about goals. So now folks understand, okay, they need clarity, they need direction, they need commitment. They also need to know what it is for them that works best, right? And if they don't know it, they can access that through someone like you who has that gift, which is
That's right.
amazing. The next is clearing old patterns and self-assessment. So tell us a little bit more about your advice in that area, or, you know, what you've learned or tips people can take away.
Okay. Well, even just recently, as I think you were there too, Dr. Pillai, it was very spontaneous, and he was saying, if you're not clearing your karma every day, how are you going to move forward? And he just picked up there was a bowl of limes, and he said, you take one for each of your karmas. And he said, if it's about health, or, you can get really specific in that health area. That's a karma. If it holds you back, if it's a struggle in your life, then you take that lime and you're rolling it on your neck and where karma is stored, and you're just saying, please remove, you do the terra nila kentum, and you just ask for that particular karma to be removed. He said,
yes, really honing in on what it is.
Zeroing
the
in.
Self-assessment comes in, right? So folks knowing what parts you're carrying from the past, knowing what thoughts are being, perpetuated that you don't want, like negative, persistent thoughts. You can take this lime and do the technique. A lot of you know this already, using your right hand, taking the lime, placing it on your throat, your shoulders, your head, your heart, any area of the body, but specifically here where karma is stored, and asking for that particular karma to be removed.
Yes, and he said use 3 each day. Take one, and that if you're focusing in on those 3 specific karmas, I know you have a great technique. You keep a bowl of limes and that knife right in the bathroom, and it's part of your morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take. That's one thing I want to bring up. I don't like adding extra time to life. I mean, within the coaching program, I know it's not that, and that's one of the things Dr. Pillai is big on. But it is about changing your focus and setting intention, and bringing things in that are really simple and fast, but yet so powerful. And this, you have that as a morning routine, that really starts the day off in a great way. And then there's another technique that Dr. Pillai just recently shared with me personally, and that was how do you recognize your ego? So if you've got to look at your internal dialogue or listen to your voice and how you're responding to someone. And he just gave a list. He said, are you saying, no, that won't work? No, it's constantly rejecting new information, or even say, for instance, you want to make a commitment and you find yourself saying, oh, I never do this, or I've always been a loser. I mean, that can be the internal dialogue. Mm-hmm. So you're listening to either your internal dialogue or you're listening to your response in communication. And if you hear these stopping and these no, no, no type of responses, you're in your ego. You're not in divine mind, not being open. And that's a really good self-assessment tool to help you understand that this is an ego response. And the ego does not want to see you change. It wants to, it's my way or the highway, and there's no growth in that. Mm-hmm. I can share just briefly a friend who works with very high-level musicians. I asked her one time, do you find that the highest levels have the biggest egos? And she said, actually, those have the least ego. They're the nicest people to work with. They're the most open and clear. She said it's the people who are in the mid-range, who are starting to have a little success. She goes, their egos are out of control and they're really difficult to work with, and they usually don't make it because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Pillai had a course once on the divine mind, and he listed everything that was kind of like offset the divine mind. Ego is definitely one of them. And then also, folks, we have this evolved Enlightened Living calendar planner you can download, and part of that is you're assessing your thoughts each day. One part of it is writing your goals. Another part is assessing your thoughts. So this is the type of thing you'd put in that little box that says, thought assessment or thought awareness. so that every day, because Dr. Pillai wants us to do this, he wants us to be aware of the persistent thoughts we're continually having. Why? So that we can change them. Because he has then given us the techniques to be able to offset them. And Meena gave us a specific technique today, which is if you have a particular karma or a particular persistent thought, to use a lime for that one issue at a time. So you have your few techniques, and now you have tools. The Enlightened Living Planner is one of those tools that you can use, and I have started using it, and I really love it. So next, point 3 of your ingredients for how to manifest a life of purpose is working with a master. And so we all know Dr. Pillai is the teacher of many of you who are watching, and Meena and I have both had extraordinary experiences with him. But Meena, you want to tell us a little bit more about your experience while watching him do the EEG on him, because you were there a couple weeks ago, right?
Yes. Hopefully you've seen that live video where he had the cap on his head, and if you haven't, go watch that. It should be on YouTube. It's fascinating. Now, I have another perspective, because I actually did a lot of EEGs and worked with that biofeedback using a very sophisticated EEG. And the doctor who was working, and that you might have heard her in the background, who was working all week with Dr. Pillai. When I came in the last day of all the testing, and she was just blown away. As she was saying, I mean, and I know too, because I've done so many EEGs and I've worked on neurofeedback with people, and the level of change that people who are high intelligence or even genius level and very motivated, the amount that they can change on their brain is actually just is like a very small set point, and they're thrilled. They feel like it's been a huge change in their life. So I'm watching Dr. Pillai's EEGs. I mean, even though his mastery I've seen it over the years, something about seeing it recorded and in science was pretty phenomenal, because at will, within 2 minutes, within actually 1 minute, he thought 2 minutes was too long, he would bring in gamma rays, he would bring in, I mean, he could change his brain, have a completely different scan within a minute.
And you said that would only take 2 minutes. Weeks to do, right?
They wouldn't even be able to do that, not that level. I mean, the whole brain would change from one color to another color. And as I said, I've looked at these patternings, and it's amazing. Year to year, they don't change.
Right.
And yet he can do it in a minute or two. And that is the power of the techniques that he's giving us, the teachings that he's giving us, that's transferring to us. So that's why I'm so excited about this coaching. All of the tools and everything that we use, if I just went to any corporate world, I wouldn't be as excited. But to know that you're working with a master, and there's free programs, I mean, of course, the Shrim Brazi, that to align yourself with those teachings and that vibration is, for success in your life, I would always say that's a huge starting point. Mm-hmm. But to be aligned with him and then do this coaching, to me, it's total win.
Right.
As long as that commitment was made in the beginning. Right.
So, and Meena's point is well taken, that Dr. Pillai is so evolved. When we tap into him, I like to think of it like plugging into an electrical circuit, right? That we're also receiving the benefits from the evolution that he has mastered, and that connection is through the heart, right? Like, so to connect with Dr. Pillai is to receive his energy, but then to learn is another thing, that's through your brain, and then also absorbing it through your body and having karmas be affected. You can do that through online programs, right? So, or in-person programs, any way that you can connect with and learn from Dr. Pillai. So there's tons of free videos. There's also amazing courses on Pillai Center Academy that range from $13 to $500. So there's a range of ways to participate with Dr. Pillai. Also, we're having a new Brazil program be announced very soon. Dr. Pillai will be teaching that, so I'm really excited about that. So there's many ways to connect with Dr. Pillai, but that's an ingredient, right, to have a master, because we are limited. Anyone in a body is limited. And Dr. Pillai, sure, he's in a body, but he has had enough lifetimes and mastery that he's gotten so much further than the rest of us, that when you connect with a master, you receive the benefits of them with the hard work that they put in. So, so thank you, Meena, for expanding upon the 3 points for manifesting a life with purpose. The last thing I want to ask you is, a lot of people don't know what their purpose is. So what if I don't know? And you answered this a little bit in the beginning, that is an opportunity. And so that this really opens us up to what your gifts are, So if you can just tell us a little bit more about, okay, I'm a person, I don't know what my purpose is, now what?
Okay. So I've talk about refining purpose and gifts. Over the years, I've noticed that when I would meet someone, I would just see their higher self. I mean, really, it just would come so quickly, and it would. But I've needed to refine that too, and put in a lot more of a energy or focus to see what the finer details. So through Vedic astrology and through human design and divination, I find a lot of guidance from Lord Ganesha. Mm-hmm. We start a conversation, and that communication I use when I meet personally. What I do is I tell them everything that I have observed, and using that intuition that has come and that vision that I've been gifted with. And then we have a conversation, and if it isn't connecting to the person, then actually it's never happened. It's always been a full connection, and that it's a beautiful experience, and it's life-changing in that you're validated, you have clarity, you're moving on, and it's a fantastic way to begin this journey, which I call our road trip. So our 3-month road trip together is how it starts.
Right. Perfect. Which leads us right into what is this 3-month road trip? So at Pillai Center, we put together a program featuring Meena's gifts, and it is manifesting a life with purpose. So Meena will be working with a select group of people for a period of 3 months, and it is a group coaching program. It involves one-on-one reading that we just talked about, that you heard about, and monthly group calls. And we do have someone who was in her last group session to give us a little more feedback on what that was like, so that you folks know kind of firsthand what that experience was. But I know that when I have participated in or led group coaching sessions, the beauty of it is that there's this divine mind or mastermind that gets created, this third mind, it gets created out of the energy of those who are participating. It's a synergy that occurs that you cannot have or do by yourself. That's the beauty of connectivity. That is what a mastermind, or this kind of creating this third being inside of group is. There's really a magic that happens. It creates support, it creates an energy, it creates motivation, accountability, and that's what a coach is there for. And when you have a personal coach, a business coach, there's all of those things I just mentioned in terms of accountability, expertise. But when you have someone like Meena, you also have the added element of someone who's been studying with Dr. Pillai for about 20 years, who has all this knowledge, who's worked closely with him, who has insider information, who has the intuition and divine guidance to help you on your path. So as well as the knowledge that she's picked up through human design, astrology, her connection with Ganesha, to help facilitate you being able to apply what you want to create a life of your dreams. And what I also like is that it's a 3-month commitment. So you're able to just get in, be immersed, and then move on. And it's not, super long term, but it's long enough. This 90 days has been studied that it's the average time to really create a habit, to really be able to shift a pattern. And so that's why we developed it for this period of time. And also starting this period of time while the sun is in Aries is a time where you're able to kind of pull that energy up and use the power of the sun to be able to navigate in your life to where you want to go. So we'll be taking some questions. So please in the chat, go ahead, type any questions you have for Meena about what we discussed today or about the coaching program. There's also a link on the viewing page to the coaching program. If not, there should be. And that will give you some more information about it. There's 2 levels to that program. One includes the group coaching plus the one-on-one with Meena. The second one involves remedies, which a lot of you already know that remedies are a part of Dr. Pillai's teachings. They're spiritual technology that helps us accelerate our ability to manifest, accelerate our ability to get things done. Because these remedies are being, these Vedic, this Vedic formula for cleansing our soul is being done for us across the world in India. And it has an incredible impact. So that's included in level 2. And those are daily group prayer offerings or pujas to the 9 planets, because we talked about how karmas can impact us, how this karmic imprint from our astrology chart has an impact on what we're able to create. These planets are creating challenges and opportunities for us all the time. If you're appeasing them on a regular basis, it's able to help you break through to accomplish what you want a little easier. So we're doing that for you. We also have, in level 2 is a reading, an astrology reading, a one-on-one, so that you know more specifically about your chart. You can come with questions. You should come with questions specific about what it is you want to manifest, so that the astrologer, who has been with us for a very long time, she heads up the department, will give you insight into how your chart reflects what it is you want to do. Remember in the beginning we talked about, like, oh, you can't always do everything you think you want to accomplish in this lifetime because there's certain preset patterns or blueprints that you were born with. The astrology reading will indicate for you what that is. So you'll have the best of both worlds. You have Meena's combination soul reading, as well as a very targeted, specific Vedic astrology reading. And from that, you'll have your clarity, as well as Meena's guidance on how to implement all of this going forward. So Kalea is with us today. I wanted to open up her. Hi, Kalea, are you there?
Hi, can you see me?
I cannot. Can you put your video on?
Yes, I think so. It says you have to. I can't start my video because you have to do it.
I have to do it. My goodness.
Yes. We can just do talk.
Let me see if I can.
No, we should see your beautiful face. Let's see.
Okay, I think try it now.
Okay. I think it's working.
Yes,
Yay.
it's working. Great, welcome.
I felt all this heat. I just felt all this heat come into my face. The goddess is like, okay,
you're on.
This work. So hi.
Hi.
So Kalea was in Meena's last coaching program. She's a life coach herself. And so I would love to hear more about your experience with Meena and what your experience with the last program really helped you achieve. I know you also have a really great story about Dr. Pillai. If you wanted to tell that too, that would be wonderful. But so we'd love to hear about your experiences.
Sure, I'd love to share. The thing that for me about working with Meena and the mastermind that was amazing was that she has this high level perspective. Meena, I've mentioned this to you. Such a high level perspective that's shared with so much love and wisdom. And so when you hear her, you know, when you share in the mastermind what's going on and you're a part of it, and she really, you can see she's really listening to you and seeing what so often you can't see for yourself, right? Which is so important with coaching, when the coach can say, oh, look here. And then you have this huge aha. And every time you do that, it's like you're breaking a glass ceiling, you know. And that was what I noticed with the process, and in the process of working with her, was that I was just consistently breaking glass. I mean, a lot of change happened for me in the last 3-month program that I was in with her. So much change happened. I mean, I could feel, I actually can probably list it out. I mean, my confidence level went up a whole 2 or 3 more levels, right? Which you need a lot of confidence to really do and bring into form what you really desire. I mean, the power and strength to follow through and stay consistent and persistent. And that, you know, so often we'll have these obstacles on us that we don't even realize that we're facing. And she has this very, I think, finessed and refined way of seeing that for you, speaking to it so that you can say, oh my gosh, I totally see that. And she does it in such a way that it doesn't feel like it's this huge burden that you now have to work through to get beyond. She makes it very simple. And that's one of the, I think, again, that's one of the brilliances of Meena, is that she's able to deliver what you need to hear in such a way that you feel like you can work with it immediately. And so that implementation is there, like the capacity to take it and say, I understand this, I feel heard and seen, and there's so much love there, right? Because that's really important too, because they're, you know, to be seen and heard, and to have that love there. I think it escalates the trust. It accelerates the trust in what she's saying and how she's guiding you. And Dr. Pillai comes through so much in Meena. There's so much about Meena that she holds. You can see that he's coming through her. Like you can feel he's coming through. And I know that's one of her intentions so strongly is to really hold space for Dr. Pillai in these masterminds, and bring his guidance through. And you can really feel it. And you could see everybody in the group was having a lot of success. I mean, there were people who manifested millions of dollars, literally in 3 months' time. That happened for one of the people in our group. And I remember when it happened, he and I were speaking about it later, and he said because I saw him being coached by her, all of us watched it, and he said it was the one thing that she said to him that completely shifted his energy, and he was able to manifest and push through this obstacle without force. He was actually able to just kind of move the obstacle out of the way. And so that happened real time. I know for myself, some of the things that I achieved were, I noticed that we had actually a website that was being completed, actually being begun in the middle and completed before we ended in the mastermind. And I could see how much it went to such a higher level, like the copy, all of the energy, the messaging, it leapt up much higher than we had even intended. And again, that's because, you know, the mastermind that's created, this divine third mind, right? that Meena's holding space for, you know, for I mean, that's the other part about this is I've been coached for years. I've been a coach, as you know, for 20 years, and I've been coached for years. And I think when you've been coached for a long time, you know when someone's a powerful facilitator and when they're holding that space for wisdom to come through. And that's what she does. It's very beautifully held. You know, it's just, it just is. And there's a real art form to doing that. You know what I mean? And that's what I could feel. So every time I would come, I never missed a call. I was there no matter what, in full participation, which is so important, right? To feel that community there. And a lot of us were so vulnerable. I know I was, you know, so vulnerable. And again, that's because she's holding this space for you to be seen and heard, you know, with love. Mm-hmm. So the achievement part, I mean, just went so many levels up. I just really noted how I broke through so many glass ceilings in that very short period of time, within my own self and my awareness of how my business runs and what my business needs from me, and other things I'm manifesting in my life. I think that's a pretty full answer to your questions. I don't know. I hope I answered them.
That's great. Yeah, that's a super, I think that gives everyone an idea of what it's like to work with Meena, which is perfectly what you said. And the manifestation ability that did occur in the last program. I loved what you said that about finesse and refinement, and that's one of the things that I find about Meena as well, is that what she brings to the table is a very unassuming energy that is very refined, and in her presence you are at ease. Right? There's nothing boastful about Meena. There's, that she's very much about the other, wanting to hold space for that. So thank you, Pillai, for talking about that. Would you share any other specifics you'd like to share about what you manifested? Oh, and please tell us a little bit more about your experiences, because I want people to understand who you are. I mean, you've been a life coach for what you said, 20 years now?
Yeah, I've been in business. It's really been, I started out coaching women around life, and then shifted into business about 15 years ago. But even in business coaching, there's so much life coaching, right? Because it's so much about going beyond. I mean, you can have the best business model and the best plan in the world. It doesn't matter if you're blocked. So there's there's so much life coaching in the business coaching, to be honest. Yeah, I'd love to share. You talked about also me sharing my story with Dr. Pillai. Is that the one that happened last year when I had my big shift?
Yes.
Is that the one that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to share some specifics that I achieved. So, for example, my clients. So I have high-level clients, and they are human beings like the rest of us, right? So we say high level, which means that they have a lot of responsibility. They're working with large budgets, etc., or they have businesses that are very demanding. But they're just human beings like everybody else, in saying that. And I just wanted to make that clear. But my point is that I noticed how much they thrived in that they had an acceleration that I was able to see. And what I attributed that to was my ability to hold space for them and coach them at a deeper level. And I attributed that ability to actually being coached by Meena. I've got to plug my computer in. I just got to notice, hang on, I realized it wasn't plugged in.
No problem.
So it's a trickle down. It's a trickle down, right? So here I'm holding space for these women in a more powerful way. I'm asking them, I'm just doing a better job of coaching them. And that came from my connection to this woman, Meena, who is holding space for us to really, she's got a lot of mother energy, not mother helicopter, mother, just like this deep mother divine energy. And, that kind of makes me feel emotional, because it's just there, that energy is there. No matter, there's no judgment. You kind of know, like she's like home base in some ways, like she's rooting for you no matter what. It also gave me, I also noticed that I had more room, and this is a really big deal. I had more room energetically because I'm a channel, right? And so that's one of the things I've mastered over the years, and that's what Baba helped me, Dr. Pillai helped me with so much. But just to stay clear so that everybody gets what I'm saying here, I think a lot of us that are watching this, are going to watch us, know what it feels like to feel overwhelmed and in chaos, right? And confused. I think that's human. And so what I've noted about me is that I would feel full very easily, where I couldn't really take in anything more, even if I wanted to at times. And so in the last 3 months, I actually participated in this high level teaching retreat that took my skills to a whole other level. But I think the reason I was able to attend that in the way that I was because Meena was holding space in this mastermind. And so so it came out in that way also, was it allowed me to really deepen my own skills and then see all of that show up in my clients' lives. I mean, it's just been actually phenomenal to see the results that my clients have had in the last 3 months. It's a very clear trajectory, an accelerated trajectory. It's very, very clear. So there's that. Also, one other thing that I want to say before I move on to Dr. Pillai is one thing that I've also noticed is that there's this grounded confidence. You know, one of the things that Meena teaches is, look, there's no reason to be stressed out. Don't do that to yourself. Take a look at what's going on. Keep it simple. What needs to be done? What are the messages? And one of the things I'd said to Meena probably 10 times or more in that mastermind was she teaches things that we've heard before, but they land in a very different way. You know, there's so many things I can think of and recall that she said to me that I had heard probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 times over the years, but it never really sunk in until I heard it. I heard it through her voice, and I suddenly had this awareness open and liberation occur, right? Like, oh, I get it. And then be able to implement and take action on that. So that's a big piece of it. Does that feel clear about some of the specifics?
Great. Yeah, that is fantastic.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So I can share about Dr. Pillai now, if that's a good time for that. Okay.
That's a great time. So you mentioned this a little bit before, but I'd love for all of our viewers to hear your story.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to share. So I'll spend about 30 seconds giving a background. So all of my life, I didn't realize until I was about 16 that everybody wasn't operating, seeing energy, seeing spirit, hearing the wood talk, hearing the trees. I just thought everybody operated like that. And my mother and dad did a great job of holding space for me to just be myself and not feel like any restriction. Just they really developed that. So as I grew, I was so confident and grounded and connected, and I just was like really living in bliss a lot of the time. And my mother really got hurt, and I became highly traumatized by my mother's trauma. And so I dropped into this kind of pit of pain with her because she and I were so connected. And it really messed with me energetically. And so I went into this initiation process that lasted about 18 months, which I thought I was going to die on. To be honest, I really thought I was losing my mind, but I was losing my ego. My ego was being pulled away because spirit was like, oh, great, let's take this time now when she's highly traumatized and blown wide open, right? All of the guard and the slumber is gone. Let's reach in and pull that out so that she can really stand strongly in who she's here to be. So when that happened, I stepped into this very painful experience with myself. Because I was, for years, not always, but regularly really uncomfortable in my own skin because I just didn't know how to handle the power that I was holding. I just didn't. It was like holding a hot sword all the time, always a little bit painful. And so I didn't tell anybody about it. I just hid it and would just draw on spirit. You know, anytime I was in trouble, in the sense of feeling in trouble, of feeling highly pressurized. And I think that people who are highly sensitive will understand what I'm talking about. People who are channels, people who are highly connected, you pick up on things that everybody else is having a great time. And you're like, why does it feel so weird in here? And it might be because you picked up on a fight that happened the day before, or an accident on that road that now is cleared away that nobody can see, but you can feel the residue. So I was feeling like a ping pong, just getting slammed back and forth because my skill sets were increasing without my own self being able to join up and merge and hold that as a human being. And I was really in trouble. I was really, I mean, I could use 5 or 6 different adjectives to describe how much in trouble I was, but I think I can just say, having said that, I was really, really in trouble because I was struggling so hard to manage who I am. Driving in a car, going out to restaurants, having meetings like this. Gina, I'm completely in peace, present, and so happy to be here. This kind of thing would have been so painful for me because I would have been picking up on everything and I wouldn't have been able to be present. it's like you're constantly getting poked at, you know, kind of thing. And you're like, ouch, you know, just a constant state of
I imagine it's
state
kind
of
of like,
discomfort.
I imagine it's kind of be like people who are in chronic pain.
Exactly. That's what it was like, but not physical pain. It's like
Right.
this
That's what I know. Like,
existential pain.
right. Exactly. But
Yeah.
in the sense that, like, in comparison, so people, you know, who are watching can understand,
Yes.
who are in chronic pain, or if you have like a depression or chronic
Yes.
illness, that it's always there eating at you, and it makes life functioning hard.
It does. I think it's a great analogy. I mean, a great alignment there. It's true. That's what it was like. It wasn't, but it's like what it's like when you have chronic pain. You know, you're never really free. You're always feeling burdened.
Right.
It's always there. And so I hit a wall. I mean, I had my face pressed up against the brick wall, like as much, you know, I was getting like, you know, scratches on my face. My face was so pushed up against the brick wall. And I had been hearing from Spirit, meditation's the solution. And I was like, okay, yeah. But I was ignoring that, and I was just struggling. I was finding all of my peace outside in the trees, and then I'd come inside and I would struggle. So one day I listened to a chant from Dr. Pillai, and in that moment, I literally felt deep peace for about 5 minutes. And I was so keenly aware of how, and it was Tiruni Lakantam and Arut Puru Jyoti, you know, some of their chants people may know of his chants or mantras. I literally felt my body just go. And I know exactly where I was. I know what time of day it was. And I was aware that I felt like myself again. And I was in so much peace. And then over the course of the next week, Shreem Brazee was starting, the Shreem Brazee program was starting. And I just lay on the couch every day and I got darshan from Dr. Pillai. I would lie there and watch the same video over and over and over again to get darshan from him. And it literally, I could feel myself being healed. So I stepped into Shreem Brazee, the Shreem Brazee program. I mean, it's an interesting place to be because I feel so liberated and at peace. And I also feel like I did when I was 20 in some ways, you know what I mean? But with the wisdom of a 50-year-old, you know what I mean? Like with the life experience of a 50-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very beautiful place to be. And I know that it has everything to do with connecting and aligning with him. I call on him all the time. I mean, it's a daily connection that he's available. You know, he's there 100% for you.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And that's such a great point that people really need to know, is that when we connect with him, he is available. And it's the heart connection that I mentioned earlier, that when we, and he's mentioned this, right? Like how to connect with archetypes. He's one of the archetypes we can connect to. You have to love them. You have to call upon them. You have to talk to them every day and ask them to talk to you, and it develops. So that's fantastic. So your healing occurred. Baba gave you continual darshan while you were connecting with him, and it literally healed you to where you're basically, you know, in our analogy, chronic pain free, where you're now able to function and use your gifts, right? The gifts that you were given from the divine to give to others. So how amazing is that? And then you were in the Shreem Brazee program. I understand that helped your business as well. That was before you were even with Meena, correct?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I was in that program for, I think it was 9 months, right? It was from, you know, May until the end of the year, April until the end of the year. And it was, again, I mean, it's just been a complete, you know, I guess it's a 180 as opposed to 360, right? Because it's a complete turnaround. I just feel so expanded in regards to my bill. I mean, I'm having conversations with women. You can see that the energy has changed with Shreem Brazee, where I'm drawing attention from much higher level people, and it's just energetic, right? And it's just holding that space with Lakshmi, with Shreem Brazee, you know. And Meena also really shares that love for Shreem Brazee, and that comes through her also, you know.
Yeah.
It's just been wonderful. I mean, it's been everything I needed and more. It completely saved my life. I mean, I really think I was looking down into the abyss, to be honest. I was really struggling and had been hiding it, like I said, just hiding it somehow from everybody, including my family, but in so much pain. I in tears. I mean, I would sob, please help me. You know, please help me find myself, find my center, find my core. And that's exactly what happened. It's like, it's just a bit full transformation. It's been a full transformation. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Kalea, for sharing your story. It's been inspirational to me, and I hope everyone else who's watching. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Meena, for facilitating such a wonderful program in which Kalea had so much wonderful success, as well as her clients. Like, you know, it's like a couple layers, the trickle down effect.
Well, I have to say, there's a few points that I want to make. I had a blast. I loved it. I got to meet wonderful people like Kalea and others. I mean, I just felt, when I left that class, I felt that I had met all of these new friends, and I really enjoyed that. And Jay Rod, I want to thank you, because you're the one who actually encouraged me to even do a coaching class, which I actually wasn't going to consider. So all of our travels in India and all of those many road trips to the temples.
That's right.
We ended up talking a lot, and not talking a lot, but I was just watching and observing everything in your program, and from there you just said, well, why don't you try one of these classes?
Yeah.
Because I've always worked individually and one-on-one, so I didn't know that it would be so magical to have a group together, because that mastermind that's created it's all of us are excited by it, because it's like this new being gets created with all of the positive energy of everyone. So
absolutely. Well, thank you for accepting the invitation and for continuing with the program. So those of you who are interested in joining, the program starts on May 4th. So not very long from now, I think it's a week. Please go ahead, and the link is in the chat area. If you're watching this on replay, it'll be just below in the description here on the video. If you have any questions, please write to us at office@pillaicenter.com. Otherwise, all of the details are on the sales page, the pricing. If you pay up front for the 3 months, you get additional savings. The combination of everything that is included in both packages is a deep discount from what it would be individually. So we've packaged it in a way that it's also a group, so that it is a lower fee than would be working one-on-one individually with Meena for an ongoing basis. So we really look forward to you being in this program. Now is the time to put your plans into action. And as we've heard, Meena is such a beautiful facilitator in order to help you do that. I do have to second Meena's mothering energy and like really holding space. She is completely non-judgmental. When you walk into the world of Meena, it is a space of acceptance and love and manifesting, like just an uplifting energy. So thank you both for being here, and thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, let us know. Let me take a quick look at chat to see if there's any questions here. I don't see any. That's it. I guess we've completed all the questions. All right, thanks folks. And starting May 4th, please register as soon as you can in order to get in early. We may keep it open maybe another week since we got this out late for promotions, but will let us know about that. And we'll hopefully see you all soon. Please don't forget, Dr. Pillai is doing a live Brazil webinar on May 19th. We'll talk to you soon. Namaste.